Hello. Welcome to the sixth installment of the Bathrobe Poetry Series. This is the Christmas Sweater edition. This video is about craft books. Recently, the Poetry Vessel released a video of their top 10 craft books for poetry. And I thought to do a companion video. Now, in their video, they suggested some books that I would suggest. First off, Mary Oliver's Poetry Handbook. They also mentioned Ted Koozer's The Poetry Home Repair Manual, which I also recommend. And they also suggested Kim Daggio's Ordinary Genius, which I also recommend. It seems like my light is putting a glare. Out of the three, I love this one the most. I've probably have read it at least 3 times. From cover to cover. They also suggest some other books that I haven't even heard of. So I'm also going to put a link to their video so those who are interested can check out that video for some more material. But I have a bunch of selections of my own. And another one I would suggest, especially for beginners, is Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg. I think every writer, especially every writer who have came up during the 80s or the 1990s, remembers when they first read that book. It's kind of like the gateway for writers to enter the art form. Other books that I would suggest is The Poet's Companion, written by also Kim Daggio and Doriana Lux. Another great poetry craft book I highly recommend. Getting into specifics, as many of you know, I'm into writing haikus and haibuns and studying traditional classical and Japanese and Chinese poetry. For those who are serious into writing haiku, I would start off with Bruce Ross' How to Haiku, a good introduction. It talks about haikus and tankas and even mentions haibuns in here. Another one is The Haiku, A Poet's Guide by Lee Gurga. It looks like this. Another one I recommend. And another one that is probably not as known is Write Like Isa, Haiku How To by David. I'm not even sure how you pronounce his last name. It's Lanoue. But the book looks like this. Now, before that, these aren't actually, what I'm about to show you are actually not craft books, but in order to fully understand haiku, one must understand wabi-sabi. And wabi-sabi, to understand wabi-sabi fully, you need to understand Buddhism. But some books that will introduce you to wabi sabi and get you a better understanding, I would first recommend this, which is Wabi Sabi, The Japanese Art of Impermanence by Andrew Juniper. I'd say this is probably the one best book on wabi sabi. So I highly recommend that. And then there is Wabi Sabi for Artists, Designers, Poets, and Philosophers, which is by Leonard Cohen. Is this. Now, those two books are on wabi sabi and aren't specifically for writers, though I guess this one is. But again, to really understand haiku and haibun and tankas, you really need to understand wabi sabi. And there is even the last wabi sabi book I'll recommend, though I can do an entire video just on wabi sabi, is Wabi Sabi for Writers by Richard R. Powell. And that looks like that. And all these books you can find online, Amazon, wherever you get your books. And even your libraries will have most of these. I think most people don't think of using the library for craft books, but they have them. So search them out. Now, another one, and this is also one of my all-time favorite craft books, is Haibun, A Writer's Guide by Roberta Berry, Lou Watts, and Rich Yeomans. That looks like this. So if you're getting interested in how to write haibuns, this is a great start. There is a series of books which is called, it's published by the Teachers and Writers Collaboration. They actually have their own website. I will put a link in the video, or not in the video, but in the credits or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And they produce a variety of craft books, which I think are all good. I have 3 of them here. There's the Handbook of Poetic Forms. So it goes through all the different forms and gives you exercises and how to write in different poetic forms. And then they have books that are specific to specific poets. So they have a craft book just on William Carlos Williams, different essays and exercises all about his work. And I have another one here about with Walt Whitman. I'm actually starting next year. I'm gonna starting in January. I'm gonna go through that again. Rose Metal Press has a craft book just on the prose poem. They actually also have one which I do have for flash fiction. For those who are interested in writing prose poems and exploring prose poems, that is another one. Another of this would probably be my number 3 of all-time favorite craft books, is One for the Money, The Sentence as a Poetic Form, a Poetry Workshop Handbook and Anthology by Gary Young, who's one of my all-time favorite prose poets, and Christopher Buckley. And that looks like this. And this is all about the sentence, which is how I think. Like when I write poems, I think in sentences rather than lines. And they have so many great writing prompts and exercises in this book. some of the best prompts and exercises I've ever read. Um, and they also do talk about line poetry. There's some examples in here, but of course it's also about the prose poem and things. Highly, highly recommend. Um, yes, I am a poet, but I'm also influenced by flash fiction as well. I'm a big fan of flash fiction, microfiction, and I also am a big believer that things you can learn different things and translate it to other things. So if you're a poet, you can learn things from flash fiction. I even have books on the craft of writing mysteries, um, because I believe you can learn different skills from different genres and apply it elsewhere. Um, and same thing. I think if you're a fiction writer, you can learn from poetry and apply it to your prose. Um, if you first getting into flash fiction, I recommend this book. It's very simple. It's by a dude named Michael Wilson. I think it might even be like self-published. It says it's VBW Publishing, and I've checked it on the site before, or on the internet before, and I haven't really found much about it. So it might even be self-published, but it's a great tool, um, um, especially if you're a beginner. Great simple exercises, very thorough. Highly recommend. I think one of the best craft writers out there is Grant Faulkner. He has a book that came out not too long ago called The Art of Brevity, Crafting the Very Short Story. Again, this is phenomenal. I highly recommend this one as well. Again, it's directed towards story, but even if you're a lyric poet, you can learn from it and apply. I personally am, I guess, I've been called a narrative poet. I'm very attracted to story. So I find it very useful. Another book that he wrote, along with a woman named Kim Colbolterson, is the 100-word story. Another fantastic craft book I highly recommend. Again, some of the best and unique exercises and prompts you'll find. There is even a book by a guy named Michael Loveday. It's called Unlocking the Novel in Flash. So this is a craft book specifically about writing a novel in a series of flash fiction. Now, again, if you're a poet and you're thinking, why would I need this? Again, you can take what you learn from it and apply. Maybe you're writing an epic poem in prose poems. You can still take the information and apply it. I have two more. I know this video is getting kind of long, but probably my all-time favorite craft book is this right here. This is a Bible. The Contemporary American Poetry Behind the Scenes by Ryan Van Cleve. In this book, there's tons of different poets. There's Kim Adagio, Dick Allen, David Baker, Stephen Dunn, Robert Bly, Wanda Coleman, Billy Collins, Bob Hickok, so many others. Even Adrian C. Lewis is in here. And what it is there's a poet, and there's like 4 to 6 different poems of that poet, and you read those poems, and then the poet wrote an essay about how they crafted each poem, and then after the essay there are writing exercises that relate to the poems and to the essay. Again, this is a Bible. Out of all the books I've suggested, if there's only one, it is this one right here. Absolute phenomenal. And there is also, lastly, there's the eloquent poem, 128 contemporary poems, and they're making, edited by Ellis Passion, Paschen. It's basically another version of this, and I recommend it. It's very good. But again, if there's only one, it is this one. Okay? And those are my selections. I hope this video wasn't too long. But all these books can be found on Amazon or wherever you get your books. And I hope you seek them out. Okay? Happy holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate.